He did an analysis of search terms used on Tamerlan Tsarnaev's computer as well as Johara Tsarnaev's computer, and he said it was Tamerlan who had search terms such as detonator, fireworks, starter, and other terms connected with the bombing. Johara's computer activity, he said, was focused mainly on using Facebook and a Russian version of Facebook.
And we welcome you back to America's Forum. John Bachman, Vera Gibbons here. And what we got there was a description from the Associated Press about the strategy being used right now by the defense in the bombing trial of Boston Marathon bombing suspect Geoffrey Tsarnaev to avoid the death penalty. We're also going to bring in Geoffrey Nathan now to talk to us more about this. Geoffrey, it's great to have you with us.
You got it.
All right, so from the onset of this case, when Tsarnaev's attorney was appointed, a lot of the thought was that this was specifically done to avoid the death penalty. We know the defense has rested in the case now. Do you think that they have achieved their stated goal?
Probably not. The reason is they didn't put on a case in chief. I would have been a lot more aggressive if I had this case. And these are court-appointed lawyers who are basically doing the government's bidding, okay? There's a wealth of difference between a privately retained counsel versus a government court-appointed lawyer. And they're just going through the motions, so to speak. So they haven't put on a case. They called a couple of forensic experts. They're trying to say that the older brother had everything to do with it, but they're not really putting on any strong evidence to buttress their argument, and basically you get what you pay for. And if this kid had half a brain, he and his family would have hired private counsel to take this matter on. That's what I would have done if I were the defendant.
Now, Vera, you mentioned you're from this area, right? And what's interesting to me about this case is you have such a horrible crime and almost an appetite from a lot of folks in that area for the death penalty. But you also have a very strong Catholic community and a very liberal community there in that area as well.
Yes, so that must have been a real challenge, I think, just pulling together a jury, getting people who are going to be unbiased in the whole case. But had they appointed as someone who, as John says, a case in chief, what would have happened, John?
Geoffrey.
Yeah, okay. Well, what I'm saying is, you know, metropolitan Boston area has a bunch of law schools. You got Harvard. You got also coming out of the best law schools in the country, lawyers from this area who know the lay of the land and are eminently qualified to handle a federal death penalty case. What they did in this circumstance, they appointed a lawyer from California, and she's flying back and forth to try this case, all at government expense. I think that the court should have appointed local counsel. There's lawyers that have federal death penalty experience right in my backyard, and there's just no reason for the court to have done what they did, except that the federal can be like a club, okay?
Geoffrey, why did they do what they did then?
Looks like
did we lose him?
Looks like we just lost him there. But going back to what you know about the community, what are you hearing from your friends that still live there? Are they paying close attention now? Are they waiting for the verdict?
I think they are paying close attention. I mean, this is a case that has captured the entire country, really. But being from Boston and having attended a couple of marathons myself, I mean, you remember when this all happened. It was just a huge, horrific event. And so many people were injured. So many people lost their lives. So I think all eyes are definitely on this case. It's a very unique case. I think a lot of people want the death penalty. I think they want these guys, this guy, to get what he deserves.
It almost seems like a very difficult task for the prosecution in this case, even though nobody is denying that Geoffrey Tsarnaev actually contributed to setting off this bomb. The appetite in Boston for anything less than the death penalty, I don't know what kind of response
I don't think there is any appetite for less than the death penalty, quite honestly. I think this is what people want, that they want justice served.
Well, we got Geoffrey back real quickly. Geoffrey, before we have to go, I want to get your take on this. Is anything less than the death penalty in your eyes, I know you're a defense attorney, but anything less than the death penalty for the prosecution here kind of a loss?
Oh, absolutely. They're going to eat crow if they don't put a legal guy. So I think you're going to be in a circumstance where you're going to see real heated closing arguments going into at the penalty phase, which is the next trial, and it's really going to be a battle of near epic proportions because the government doesn't want to face this one. Let me tell you, if they go down, they're going to, if they don't get the death penalty in this case, crisis here.
All right, Geoffrey Nathan there. Tough work for the prosecutors in this case. Death penalty or bust for them. We'll see what takes place. More to come here on America's Forum. John Bachman, Vera Gibbons in for J.D. Hayworth today. We'll be back right after this short commercial break.